And one other person that lent an incredible amount of energy and knowledge to us, and we couldn't have done it without her, is Tara Cunningham. And Tara is going to monitor and manage the next panel. Tara is one of the world's most experienced workplace inclusivity experts, having helped foreign countries and major US corporations implement successful plans. She's also a neurodivergent mom of a neurodivergent son. And Tara is an incredible communicator and master masker, adept at simplifying complex concepts in real time better than anyone I've ever met. And like I said, outside of the core NeuroX crew, Tara spent more time helping us prepare than anyone, and we are forever in her debt. She is tenacious, and that's why we call her Tara T-Bone Cunningham. Please take the stage.
So I'm here because the Neurodiversity Roundtable, I heard Neil Barnett say that there was somebody that was going to do a conference in New Jersey. And I went, Jersey? No way, nothing happens in Jersey. What's his name? And best 4 months I've spent. This is awesome, and thank you all for being here. And because I got to help, he asked, what's the greatest success story you've ever had with a program? And this is a no-brainer. It's Hearst Corporation, Hearst Magazines. And so we have, and the greatest partnership we've ever had was with Integrate Autism Advisors. So let me introduce Marcia Scheiner and Isabel Fields. Is this thing on? It is. Fantastic. All right, we're going to have a little fireside chat, and I am what's known as a hypersocial Audie. So I'm going to put a timer on, and when this thing goes beep, we're going to stop, and we're going to open it up to questions and answers, okay? All right. So why are we here? What brought you on this journey? Let's start with Isabel.
Well, hi, everyone. My name is Isabel Fields, and I am the ESG manager at Hearst. You may know some of our companies where you can call us like a big parent company in many ways. You know, our magazines, Harper's Bazaar, Elle, Cosmo, we own TV stations, newspapers, finance companies, transportation companies, healthcare companies, the list goes on. And I just got really, really lucky with my job. When I started at Hearst around 1.5 years ago, kind of one of the first projects someone told me to start researching was, what's a neurodiversity hiring program? And so I talked with many of the people in this room, the EYs of the world, the Deloittes of the world, the SAPs, and I learned about their programs. And what I discovered is not only did we need to build our own hiring program, which we did, and we'll talk all about it, but I discovered this secret passion I had. I have a disability, and for most of my life, I didn't think that got to be in the workplace. It was something that was part of my personal life, and I kept it at home. But I realized through building our own neurodiversity hiring effort that I could bring that to work in my own way. You know, if I'm going to redo accommodations for neurodiverse people, we're going to redo them for everyone with disabilities. And suddenly I realized that we could have a really big impact, because we know that 1 in 5 people in the US have a disability, and we have 20,000 employees, a little bit more at Hearst. And so we could change things and rattle them up, and I just got so excited, and then I got to work with you two.
And, oh God, I wish we had 4 hours to talk about Hearst. Okay, so we'll go a bit deeper in a bit, but Marcia, would you like to talk about how you started on this journey?
So I have a somewhat less traditional path to what I do. I spent 25 years working in the financial services industry. I started my career as a structured finance banker, and then ended up moving into the insurance world, and was an executive at Zurich Financial Services, and as I like to say, had the Good fortune to be able to retire early in 2010. During that time, I raised a son who was on the autism spectrum. At that time, it was an Asperger's syndrome diagnosis. And when I finished working in that world, I always wanted to do something a little more philanthropic with my life. And he was transitioning into adulthood. So the issues around adult transition for those on the spectrum were important to me. So I thought, how do I take my background and do something useful in that space? And after doing a lot of research and discovering what was going on in the employment world, I thought, well, I know how to be employed fairly successfully. And when I looked at the VR world, what I saw was a person-centered approach that worked very well for the individual who got placed, but we were seeing really slow placement numbers. So thinking as a business person, thought, well, why not start with the companies that actually hire people? So I created Integrate Autism Employment Advisors. We are an employer-focused organization. We take on typically Fortune 500 companies, but we've also worked with much smaller organizations. And we work with them to become really fully neuro-inclusive. We say we work with them to identify, recruit, and retain neurodivergent talent. And we have a process through which we do that. And here we are 14 years later.
Fantastic. So, Isabel, actually, Marcia, would you agree that Hearst is an outlier?
I would definitely agree that Hearst is an outlier.
So let's start with why. So can you talk about how you brought people on board, Isabel?
Of course. It's not always easy for many of you in the room. I'm sure you can agree that sometimes you're not the favorite person because you're trying to shake things up a little bit. And you're trying to tell people who have been in HR for 10, 20, 30 years, you gotta do things a little bit differently. And that can be a hard sell at times. So what we did is we created a council. We brought in legal, we brought in HR, we brought in our benefits team, and we said, we want all of you to be a part of this. And we want all of you to own your piece. And you can tell us what we need to do better, and we want to partner with you. And so everyone suddenly had a stake, and they were ready to kind of partner. They felt like it was their project that they could own, and I think that's what made it successful. And we did that from the start. From before we even brought on Integrate, we had this council formed so that everyone really felt like it was a decision that you were making in the center, even if from our ESG team we were driving it slowly but surely. And I think that was our key, because then everyone wanted to champion it as we got wins, because they felt like they were their wins.
And I'd like to add one thing to that, and it's really important, and Isabel really typifies this. When we work with a company, and what we really see to help ultimate success is to have someone like Isabel, who has the drive and the passion, but is also a dedicated project manager or program manager to getting this done in the organization. As she talked about, she brought in all these constituents that are stakeholders that are so important, and then she has driven this program from start to continuation. And there is that point of contact. People in the organization know who to go to. And there is no question about the commitment and the project management aspect, and that is really important in getting it done.
Yeah, and to go on top of that, it's really important to have that point of contact. But people leave organizations. And so we need to make sure that it's sustainable and it's embedded inside the culture. And that is what set Hearst apart. Isabel could leave tomorrow, and Hearst's program is going to keep growing. So that is so integral. And how she worked with her colleagues to make them own it, to own their piece and be proud of the successes of those pieces was so enjoyable. We'd get like virtual high fives through the phone, or through the computer. Can you talk about how it's expanding, how quickly this thing expanded?
I was just going to say, can I talk about Joshin and our healthcare spend?
Oh my God, this would be so cool. This is like the coolest nerd fact ever.
Okay, so I'll back up a little bit and tell you a little bit more about our program. It's a 15-week internship program. We have multiple of them. Some run at specific companies that we own. Some run enterprise-wide. Some are at specific divisions, and so that will continue to evolve as we get deeper and deeper. We're in year 2 of this, and we'll be in our 3rd cohort by the, I guess, from a year from now. So we're already in that planning process. You need to embed this into your company from the get-go, and as I said, find those wins. Our benefits team was phenomenal. And so when we started educating our benefits team about the return on investment when you invest into neurodiversity, they started looking into it. And they looked at our healthcare spend. And they saw that healthcare spend around autism specifically was up 150% last year. It's not something they would have ever looked into had we not started talking about this program and said it was a priority for the company. When they looked at that healthcare spend and they realized this gap, they looked at benefits that they could bring on that would mitigate that spend and also support our colleagues. So we brought in very early on a company called Joshin as a benefit. They're a job coaching benefit for our employees. It's for individuals who are neurodiverse and family members. If you have a kid going through an IEP process, you can log on and get a coach to help guide you through that. If you're an employer or employee and you have executive functioning challenges and you need help with that, you can log on and have that coach. Employees who use it and have come to the webinars they host say that they suddenly feel seen by their employer, that they feel accepted. I've had employees tell me that they wanted to cry after going to some of these trainings because they were like, oh my God, I can't believe you're recognizing this piece of myself, and I didn't even realize all these things I needed. And so that was huge in terms of supporting our employees, mitigating spend, and kind of selling the business case and getting our benefits team to champion it. Now it's embedded for every employee to access.
Every employee, not neurodivergent employee, every employee. And the amount of neurodivergent people that says, I'm here, how many do you get a week now?
I get emails almost daily from someone saying, hey, I heard about this neurodiversity program and I want you to know I'm so proud to work for Hearst because I have ADHD or my kid has autism. And that affects retention. Keeping employees is huge. I think all companies struggle with retention. If we can impact retention, nevertheless, all the other returns on investment you got from neurodiverse employees, you have an easy business case to sell. And also the cultural aspect, that's what we want. We want our employees to be proud to work for our company.
All right.
We're gonna hire Isabel to sell for us.
I was just gonna ask you, Marcia, what's the key thing with finding hiring managers? We don't follow.
So we use an expression which anyone can feel free to use, is that when you are looking for hiring managers, you want volunteers, not voluntold. We've had experiences where companies have selected managers who are doing this for reasons, maybe not because they have a passion for this or they have a true belief that there's a qualified talent pool within the neurodivergent community that they want to tap into, but their managers committed to it and they want to look good. Those situations typically do not work out so well. You want to start with managers that volunteer. And that doesn't even necessarily mean that they'll all be the best managers. There needs to be a screening process, but it's really important to have individuals who start with this, who volunteer, and then just as Isabel said, when you put a program in like this, you see increasing disclosure rates within your organization. Other managers who see the quality and the talent coming in with their colleagues, they may have been a voluntold in the past, but 6 months later, they're one of your biggest volunteers.
That is such a great point. That's such a great point. Would you like to add anything on that, Isabel?
No, look, we rely on you two. You two have been instrumental in the creation of our program, so I follow the advice you give me.
So just line up behind us and we can secure and fix every one of your problems because we've got it worked out, don't we? Marcia. We joke around. I think Jose mentioned we're all friends here. You know, sorry if I don't call you all. This is the only sector in the world where competitors are family. Jessica over here, there she is up there. Like, where it's extraordinary. We are all students. We learn every day. Nobody has this worked out. We're talking about humans. We're talking about systems and barriers, and we need to go and figure out what are those barriers and how do we navigate in an organization to kind of make a little peephole in there, right?
Can I add something onto that?
Yeah.
Well, I think this is one area where we really do feel that rising tides lift all boats. We don't feel proprietary about any of our information. We built our program from learning from so many companies who were so generous with us about their learnings, what worked and what didn't work. Trust me, we have plenty of learnings, and we are more than happy to share with any of you in this room because that's what other companies did for us. Just to kind of like set this conversation, we're a week from a pretty impactful election. DEI has been under attack. I think that's been in the news. We all know that. That's probably only going to happen more and more, especially depending on what happens in the next week. But, you know, disability kind of rises above the culture wars in an interesting way. So it's a unique opportunity for companies like many of you in the room to still invest in DEI under a different guise and get some internal support, external support, and kind of continue with your DEI mission. It just may look a little bit differently.
That reminds me of what Jamel said earlier, right? Isn't that a great line? It's when you make your office, your culture, neuroinclusive, you are benefiting everyone. So from a very early age, oh my goodness, we're about to ring. We're about to ring. My phone's like letting me know we're getting there. So Marcia, you have a point.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, you know, one of the things that we see and we realize is every company has a different culture. And, you know, we did this with Hearst, and pretty much every company we've started with, when companies are starting, we always say start small so that we can come in, you know, nothing's going to go perfectly from day one, right? There's no silver bullet. You know, there are, and different organizations will have different approaches that work for them, and it's figuring those things out and understanding the culture of the company, and then scaling from there in a way that works for the individual company that is trying to do this. And nobody should feel that if they start and there's a bump along the way, that's an indication that this isn't going well. I mean, would be true for really any new projects people engage in. So it's a process, and as Isabel can attest to, it can grow rapidly once that process for the individual company is figured out properly.
Beautiful segue. Tell us about the headcount. How quickly this grew from your org.
Yeah, our pilot program had 4 individuals. We intentionally kept it small. We wanted to really test it out. This next year, we'll have a total of 13 walk through our doors, and that's in year 2. And we hope to only expand from there. We've expanded to 4 more divisions than we did for our initial one, and we'll expand outside of technology this year, which I'm really excited about.
So with that, we're going to open up to Q&A, but one of my favorite people from Hearst surprised me and is in the audience. So Tony Kocher, he is the Director of Talent, Product, and Engineering. And I saw him, gave him a huge bear hug, and then said, "You're gonna talk." So I'm gonna come down with my mic, and we're gonna pass the microphone around for Q&A, but I want Tony to talk about what he did from the very beginning when he was like, "Neuro what?"
So I only knew I was talking about 5 minutes ago, but I'll just talk from the heart. Isabel approached me about 12 months ago, and I'll be honest, I didn't know what this term meant, and neither did my colleagues. And I think the best takeaway we can have from this is education. Educate your employers, educate your hiring managers. And as soon as I learned and I started educating my teams of recruiters and HR leaders, people were bought in instantly. There was no hesitation. And then as I went through the program, I started interviewing neurodivergent individuals for our technical roles, whether it was a front-end engineer or a back-end engineer or a QA specialist. I was amazed time and time again every time I talked to somebody. And I think, my role is to bring in the best engineering talent in the world. And I'm always tasked with adding diversity. It's part of what my job is. And this was the missing link in our program. So just thank you to Isabel for taking that lead.
No, thank you to you. Like, you're the champion. That's what we want, is we want champions like you across our organization. So thank you.
The best takeaway is for anyone wanting to start, education is key first of what this is. And it just kind of takes a life of its own after that.
Fantastic, thank you. That's why I gave him a huge bear hug, so fair play. And what Tony's enthusiasm did was a ripple effect. The amount of teams, we were hoping, 3 TV stations? What did we get, 13? We were hoping for 3, and we got 13 TV stations that wanted to do this. That's incredible, right? So, I mean, we can't do 13 right away, but how cool is that? That's the need, that's the desire. So, we have a microphone on the floor. Does anybody have any questions for any of us? Tony, you can come on up here if you'd like, and you can ask.
Hey, Tom from ROI. Thanks for this. Question about the internship program. A lot of companies that I deal with are expanding internship programs past the traditional college, mid-career, even De Niro type people. This seems like an idea for neurodiverse to have interns of all ages come into the companies. Is that something that you are doing or considering doing?
Yeah, good question. We've pondered kind of all of that. I think the biggest gap we hear is entering the job market, is like getting that first job. Not that there isn't a need later on in career. We're not there yet, so I think approach that. Right now, we're really focused on early career. That doesn't mean exactly right out of college. I think one of our candidates, Marcia, you can correct me, was like 2 or 3 years out of college, had already had some experience, but had gotten laid off and was looking for something new. And so early career is what I'll call it. Our hope is that Joshin helps with like current existing employees expanding their career and growing in their career.
I can tell you, we do a lot of internships with different companies. Most of the interns we place are already out of school because they have not been able to get that first opportunity. We've placed interns who are 1 or 2 years out of school. We've placed interns who are 10 or 15 years out of school. Some are late diagnosed and have had unsuccessful careers and are continuously unemployed. And once they've had that diagnosis, it's given them clarity and an ability to figure out what it is that they're good at. And then now they want to get into that field. So we look at internships as an opportunity almost for anybody. And we encourage all the employers we work with to open up their internship programs to any candidate.
I saw a microphone get passed along, please.
Hi, Rich from the NJUA. We represent the 13 member utilities throughout the entire state of New Jersey. Very interested in this program. Question for you is C-Suite. Did they start this program? Did you bring it to them? Do they support? How do you work the C-Suite to really get involved in the program?
I just had the best boss ever, I think. I have to give him so much credit because he is our champion. He works in our C-suite, reports to our CEO, which gave me access to our entire C-suite. So we got our chief legal officer on board, our chief benefits officer on board. We got all the presidents of all the divisions. So I will go meet with the president of magazines. I'll go meet with the president of our TV stations, whoever it is we're running the programs with. And they're on board, our CTO is on board. And so that is key. You need your C-suite to get on board. The key is making sure that the program feels like it came from individual contributors, because no one likes a program that's just top down. So even if it is, you need to make it feel like it's bottom up, and that means meeting with your individual employees. So we formed a council pretty early on of individuals who self-disclosed to me to help form the program. I wanted to learn from them what their individual experiences are, where they were struggling, and how we could make the program really work for a new person coming in. But yes, C-suite is key.
Okay, we have 2 minutes left. Question in the back? As she runs, no pressure.
Hi, Jen Feldman from Specialist Erna. Hi, Tara.
Hi.
And it's true that we are all friends. Hi, Marcia. It's nice to see you. I had a question just around the plans or the strategy related to career development and advancement. A lot of neurodivergent job seekers that I work with are really keen to get that first gig, and that's certainly something that is a massive barrier. But what we're also hearing, and it was really interesting to hear about your healthcare spend, is that they leave because of all kinds of things, but mostly mental health. So how are you planning strategically on supporting them in that development and advancement?
Sorry, we're doing a mic pass. Good question. We have great benefits. Spring Health is amazing. We offer mental health care. Joshin's amazing for job coaching support and workshopping. I think the key is we need more people to self-disclose, because yes, I can help people coming through our program because I know who they are and I have relationships with them. I don't know everyone at the company, and it's pretty hard to track, and most people don't self-disclose. And so my hope is that in the next few years, as we deeper into these programs, more and more people self-disclose, and then I can better track that and better understand career trajectory. Frankly, we're too early on for me to have that idea, but I hear this question a lot, and it's on my roadmap. Marcia, you might have thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we do is when candidates are in a full-time role and there's movement from one manager to the next, we provide transition support for them. So maybe they've worked with one manager for a year, and they don't need support after a period of time with that, but then they're moving on to another manager, another role, another function. We will come back in and provide support for another transition period. So, we're there for encourage the employers to think about transition, that there is support available, and that these are individuals who want to and can make those transitions as long as the environment is supportive of that.
Okay, final comments. We are out of time, so would you like to say any departing words? We'll start with Tony, who just got thrown on this stage.
I'll just share a personal story with my son. When he was growing up, his teachers always were like, he's not participating properly. He's not following the rules. He's speaking too fast. He's thinking too fast. And I don't think I even shared this with Isabel, but when he got into high school, he kind of came onto his own, and we quickly learned that he did have a form of ADHD, but that didn't stop him. And we learned to embrace kind of what he was strong at and where he needed help. And he graduated with a 4.0 in high school. And now he's studying machine learning and artificial intelligence. So I think what Jamel said before is, do you want to shape the future, or do you want the future to shape you? And absolutely, we all have the power to shape the future.
You need to figure out how to make the program you're trying to build a win for everyone else. If you can figure out how it helps the person in HR succeed in their role and be a win for them, the person in benefits, the person in legal, make it something that they're proud to talk to their boss about and say, look at what we did. Then you have longevity in a program, and you have people invested.
Beautiful.
53% of Gen Z now identifies as neurodivergent, and the Data shows that in about 5 years, neurodivergent individuals will actually be the neuromajority. So there's really not a choice. If, as an employer, you want to fulfill your workforce requirements to be hiring neurodivergent talent and supporting the existing talent in your workplace, otherwise you're going to have a lot of empty seats in your organization. So it's really, this is an imperative. It's not a choice anymore for organizations that really want to be successful.
Okay, and with that, I'm going to end. I appreciate everybody's questions. I appreciate the panel. I appreciate you, Tony, for coming up so quickly. Isabel, my favorite client of all times. Marcia, my favorite partner of all times. Thank you very, very much, everyone.